It's only week 5, but the pressure is mounting up both Edmonton and Montreal as the 1-3 Eskimos clash with the 1-3 Alouettes on a glorious night for football on the slopes of Mount Royal at Percival Molson Stadium in Montreal.
Anthony Calvillo in his 20th season said this week, enough of the excuses, time to buy into the new offensive system and get it done. His slowest start in recent memory. This will be start number 275 for the Alouette veteran. That's 267 more than Mike Riley, who gets his 7th start as the quarterback for the Edmonton Eskimos, trying to find his way. He said this week he wants to make his reads quicker, get the ball out of his hands faster.
Well, Cambridge Reed felt that his team made tremendous strides last week against BC, and the Eskimos look for their first win in Montreal since 2007. On the other sideline, Dan Hawkins' Alouettes have lost 3 consecutive games. They're 0-2 at home, but he can quell the noise that's building around him with the first Eastern win over a Western opponent in 2013. Underway with Arlen Bruce on the return, and it's a good one. Bruce giving Anthony Calvillo decent field position to start this game. Our starters to watch, brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, where custom advice comes standard.
Anthony Calvillo has been able to get the ball to S.J. Green, the leading receiver for the Alouettes during this slow start. 18 catches, over 300 yards for him, coming off a 100-yard game. The guy he can't get involved, or at least hasn't yet, has been Jamel Richardson. Had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, including a huge 2011 with over 1,700 yards. Haven't got any traction with Richardson yet.
First down, comes out slinging, and the pass intended for Brandon Whitaker incomplete, as we set the defense for Edmonton and their number 2 ranked passing defense.
Well, there was one change on the corner. Joe Burnett is a late scratch, so Chris Wabakamba will start at the wide side corner. And take a look at that linebacking core again, led by J.C. Sherrod, who leads the team in tackles, 27 so far after 4 weeks, but right behind him, Damaso Munoz.
Munoz with 8 tackles last week. You heard Matt Dunnigan talk about needing more efficiency on first down and 2nd and long right away. Here's a crosser to Bruce, and he has spilled at the 50 short of the first down as Munoz makes another tackle. And it's a 2-and-out to start for an Alouette team that is last in that department so far this season. Another one of those stats that we're not used to seeing in Montreal.
As we mentioned in the opening, it's a matter of communicating with the guy he's talking to on the sideline right now, offensive coordinator Mike Miller. Remember in the past with Mark Trestman, he would go to the bench after every series, sit down, be by himself, a system he knew well. He's learning to communicate and a new system with Miller.
No Joe Burnett for the Eskimos, and Kerry Koch is back. Sean White the kick, and Koch will field this right at the 10-yard line. Taken down by Daryl Townsend after a 50-yard punt by Sean White.
He's completing just shy of 60%, 56% of his passes. He'd like to increase that, eliminate some mistakes. Feels like his decision-making process for Mike Riley has improved week to week. Wants to get Fred Stamps a little more involved. Not a bad start for Stamps at 212 yards, but hasn't worked a lot with them. Their leading receiver, Nate Kuhorn, at wide receiver.
Eskimos break the huddle quickly, and Cambridge Reed yesterday mentioned they'd like to see more of that, give him more time to recognize defenses. Swings it to Fred Stamps, and Stamps on the loose with that football as he's dragged down by Billy Parker, the veteran defensive halfback.
Alouettes defense leads the league after 4 weeks in creating 2-and-outs. 55% of opponents' drives. Main reason for that is their linebacking core. Shea Emery in the middle out of UBC. Kyrus Hebert, who has a history, as Milt Stegall mentioned, with Fred Stamps. And Chip Cox leads the league in tackles, 36 after 4 weeks. That's incredible.
12 last week. The Parker tackle behind the line of scrimmage sets up 2nd and long, 2nd and 12. Time for Riley, and that pass sails high, intended for Kuhorn with the veteran Byron Parker in the area, and that's dangerous stuff.
Well, and that's exactly what Mike Riley saw on that play. I think he looked out there, saw Byron Parker, who has a CFL record, 9 interceptions for touchdowns in his career, and threw a wide side out a little bit late, thought, I better throw this one out of bounds.
So back-to-back 2-and-outs for a couple of struggling offenses against two pretty good defenses in the opening 4 weeks of the season. Grant Shaw to kick, and Noel Devine awaits near midfield. And this one will bounce and kick back towards the Eskimos. Devine picked it up, and he gets crunched. No yards on the call, and Grant Shaw was down there looking for the loose ball. We'll confirm whether no yards is the call when we come back as Anthony Calvillo gets set to go back to work in Montreal.
Well, you have to admire the courage of Grant Shaw, the kicker, trying to go down and recover his own punt, stick his head in there like that on Noel Devine, but that's a helmet-to-helmet hit, and he's been woozy on that sideline.
Saw Noel Devine fumble the ball. Jordan Verdone came up with it, and Kerry Joseph may be the backup punter tonight. Grant Shaw shaking up. Here's a good run as Brandon Whitaker slices through off the left side, and that's good first down production. In fact, should be enough for the initial first down of the game.
Yeah, what Matt Dunnigan talked about, what Mike Miller really would like to accomplish in this game is production on first down, and that's where Brandon Whitaker comes in big time. Two-way, you can use him out of the backfield, get him the football that way, or run the football to him more. Just 13 touches last week. Mike Miller, of course, last 6 years in Arizona.
And only 50 yards for Whitaker last week in the defeat in Calgary. This time he is met in the hole and pushed back. That's Don Aramasion filling the gap and dropping Brandon Whitaker for a loss of 1.
Mike Miller now looks down at that play chart. Take a look at his resume in Arizona Cardinals. Last 6 years, as I mentioned, offensive coordinator, in fact, was with the team when they went to the Super Bowl as their receivers coach that year. Then worked with the Buffalo Bills and early on with Bill Cowher and the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 1999.
Christian Matt checks in. They'll go double tight end with Patrick Lavoie. 2nd and 12. Whitaker stays in the block. Far side catch is made and dropped is Jamel Richardson, who lost the football, and that's Donovan Alexander up with it. So Jamel Richardson, who has really struggled this season to get out of the gate, and they are ruling it a fumble, although the officials still conferring here. Let's wait and see. Donovan Alexander up with it for Edmonton, and the Alouettes urging the bench to challenge.
Jamel Richardson saying he was down by contact. Has possession of the ball, no question. Has it out there loose.
Looks like he was down.
I think he was down.
Ruling on the field is he was down by contact. It's 3rd down. 3rd down.
No question about it, then. It is 3rd down, and the kick team will come on for Montreal. Just the 14th catch of the year for Jamel Richardson, and now the Eskimos look like they're going to challenge. Or are they? That might have been a Montreal challenge that's been picked up as Dan Hawkins didn't get the officials ruling and wanted to make sure that ball wasn't turned over.
Yeah, he thought that it was turned over to Edmonton, wanted to challenge the play because he saw the replay here and knew that Jamel Richardson was down by contact.
Got the quick trigger going there. Here's Sean White.
Well, he's lucky he was allowed to pick it up too, because that can be a delay of game penalty.
32-yard attempt for White. And he puts it through, so the Alouettes strike first. Field goal for the Owls. Just short of the 5-minute mark of the first quarter here in Montreal. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by Nissan. Innovation that excites. So the Alouettes on a Sean White 32-yarder have the lead. Mike Riley and the Eskimos back to work. Starting at their 35. And the handoff inside. Hugh Charles, just a couple.
Well, Coach Lapalisse talked in the pregame show about Mike Riley's footwork. We'll watch that if he can prove his accuracy. Also, We heard from Kavis Reed that Riley wants to get in and out of this huddle quicker, as you mentioned, Chris, off the top, so that he just calls the plays rather than describes the plays. So sometimes he's taking a little bit long in the huddle, so he gets out, can't get a pre-snap read of the defense.
And we're working on his defensive recognition this week. One more time for that, out of a double tight end formation. Second down, and the pass complete. And a first down to Hugh Charles out of the backfield.
So he gets the signal quickly from the bench, and he'll get that in his headset, in his helmet, and then go in, try and get in that huddle. What he was doing in the first 4 weeks was describing the play, talking to each receiver, saying, you know, when you run that curl, make sure it's tight to the boundary or however you want to do it. And it was taking too long for him to get out of there, and he had to rush the snap count. Now he can take a look, relax, take a look at the defense, take a pre-snap read.
And Alouette defense showed a lot of pressure last week. Here they come off the edge. Riley looks downfield. Fred Stamps has got it. An over-the-shoulder catch and a big one for the Eskimos down to the 19-yard line. Fourth catch of over 30 yards this season for Stamps. This one good for 44.
Now the coach asked us to watch his footwork, but he does a nice job here. Watch Riley as he buys some times with his feet to get outside of that pressure. Roll a couple of steps to the outside, let the ball go, and throw Fred Stamps open with pressure coming from the backside. He lets this ball go while he's covered, knowing Stamps will separate when the ball arrives.
Fred Stamps moves ahead to the great George McGowan into sixth on the all-time Eskimo pass list with that catch. First down at the 19. Riley double pumps and then throws short of the intended target. Fred Stamps turned away from the football there. It didn't reach him anyway, but didn't look like they were on the same page on that play.
You know, they haven't worked a whole lot together. I know we're into week 5, but he missed training camp, Stamps, and then has been on and off the roster and not practicing full-time throughout the 4 weeks, so he hasn't had a lot of time to get good chemistry with Mike Riley, and showed a little bit on that last play.
No touchdown passes in the last 2 weeks for Riley. Second and 10. Charles in that offense, and that's batted down. Good defensive play by the 5-year vet, Gerald Brown.
Boy, these two halfbacks have been together. You go back to 2008 when they both showed up in Montreal together, Gerald Brown and Billy Parker. Been through 2 Grey Cup championships, have 2 rings with the Montreal Alouettes together. That's just a super defensive play coming underneath you, Charles.
So Shaw, who was knocked a little woozy on his first punt of the game, now comes in to attempt a 26-yard field goal. Gary Joseph the holder, and Shaw puts it through. And the game is tied at 3 midway through the opening quarter at Percival Molson. All eyes on Coach Dan Hawkins here in Montreal. With more, here's John Liu.
Well, thank you, Chris. I had the opportunity to speak to Al's GM, Jim Popp, this morning on the subject of the potential implications of this game on the continued employment of Dan Hawkins and or Mike Miller. And while Popp did not consider this game a make or break opportunity for either of his coaches, he did say this is a must-win game for the Owls, with the bye week looming next week and the team starting at 0-2 at home to start this season. Now, Popp and owner Bob Wettenhall are conversing daily and monitoring the progress of their coaches, but Popp says that if things don't get better, they will make changes. But from the players' standpoint, Popp's expectation is buy-in, saying that the players at some point have to accept change. Guys?
And that's what AC said, you know, basically this week and to us yesterday, that it's time to buy into this system. They started out of the gate with the old playbook, with Mark Trestman's playbook in the first 3 days of camp, scrapped that because they were having trouble getting on the same page quickly, went to Mike Miller's system. Now, in fairness to Mike Miller, many are asking, why doesn't he just run what AC's good at? He did ask AC what he'd like to run, and out of respect, Calvillo said, Coach, we'll run your system.
It's the second run play that was stuffed. TJ Hill waiting for Brandon Whitaker that time. I guess on a good side for the Alouettes in this first quarter. They've gotten the ball to Jamel Richardson twice early.
Yeah, and they have shown some success here. And of course, the first quarter last week against Calgary was big. Now, Mike Miller, you know, first thing he said to us in our meeting with him was he takes full responsibility. You have to respect that. He's a football man. You can tell he has the X's and O's. a system he knows well. Worked with Kurt Warner in Arizona. Now it's just a matter of him and Anthony Calvillo learning how to communicate together, and Calvillo's ready to buy into that system.
Here's another second and long, and up out of his stance early comes the newcomer Ryan Bobman, who is into his second start at right guard for future Hall of Famer Scott Flory, out for the rest of the year.
Procedure, Montreal, number 64, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
So now second and long, and we talked about second down conversions. The Alouettes last at 28.2%.
Second and 17, tough for the best teams in the league.
Got to get a little deeper in Mike Miller's playbook here, don't they? Comes the rush on Calvillo. He'll just throw it away as the pocket was collapsing in a hurry.
Yeah, a smart move by Anthony Calvillo here. I know the crowd here in Percival Molson don't like it, but on second and 17, you don't see what you like, get rid of it, punt team comes out. One other thing that Anthony Calvillo mentioned to us yesterday that I thought was interesting, that you know, most of the time when a coach is moving on or leaving, it's because the system is struggling, the team is struggling, and the coach is fired and moves on. That didn't happen with Montreal. That's why it's been frustrating to restart. They were hitting on all cylinders last year.
Great boot by Sean White. Kerry Coke is drilled by Patrick Lavoie. Knocked out after a 52-yard boot. Well, Fred Stamps with that big catch on the previous series for the Eskimos, and worthwhile to mention him leapfrogging George McGowan, who was the top player in the Canadian Football League back in 1973.
Next on the list, the GM.
Yes, and if Fred hits around 1,000 yards this year, he'll be number 3 on that list this season. So he's climbing the ladder. 5 plays, 56 yards. The last series for Edmonton, which resulted in a field goal and some early movement there. It looked like Aaron Lavarius jumped early. See if he was drawn offside.
Procedure, Edmonton, number 68, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
And he was. Thaddeus Coleman moving prematurely. By the way, there's a new right tackle in this game for the Eskimos. Cliff Lewis hurt, and it's Brandon Curry at the other end of that offensive line that Davis Reed felt played its best game last week in BC. First and 15. Going nowhere. Shea Emery on the scene. And along with Michael Klassen to make the stop.
With the interior, both defensive lines doing a nice job early in this game against the run. And you can see there that Montreal took care of it inside, and we've seen when Montreal tried to run the ball to Brandon Whitaker, Edmonton's interior, the defensive line, stood tall.
So John White dropped for a loss. Second and long, Riley time over the middle. Shea Emery has the interception. And Emery down inside the 10-yard line as Mike Riley has thrown his 6th interception and his 3rd from deep in his own zone. There is a flag at the end of the play.
Little show blitz from the Montreal defense. They have both linebackers that go into the line of scrimmage. Chip Cox and Shea Emery. One will drop, one will rush. Mike Riley's not sure which will do what.
Had one picked off last week in BC, deep in Edmonton territory, and of course the Ray Williams pick 6 in the season opener at Commonwealth. Officials still conferring on the penalty, and Glenn Johnson ready to let us know what the flag is at the end of the play.
After the interception, we had an objectionable conduct on Montreal 41, taunting. We'll go back 10 yards from the end of the play. It's first down, Montreal.
Alouettes the most penalized team in the league, and Emery not sure what happened, but they'll march it back to him.
Well, Mike Riley is wondering what happened there too, because look at, there's Shea Emery and there's Chip Cox. Hold it as it gets to the line. Now hold it there. Chip Cox in the middle, and Shea Emery right beside him on the line of scrimmage. One will blitz, one will drop. Mike Riley's not sure which. It's Cox that goes on the blitz. Then he drops late. He comes back, and Emery takes the interception.
No confusion on that, and in the backfield, Brandon Whitaker is swarmed, and he'll be dropped for loss. That play looked off kilter from the start, and Whitaker spikes the ball in disgust.
Montreal loves to run this. It's that show. There's Cox there, and there's Emery. Now, Cox is going to show like he's going to come, and that's what Mike Riley thinks. Meanwhile, Shea Emery is dropped out of there. He doesn't even see 41 flow to the football. You get a young quarterback, give him a lot of different looks. And this is the taunting penalty that Shea Emery got. Not sure about that call.
Yeah, 14th takeaway on the season for the Alouettes, and there's a touchdown inside the 5. S.J. Green's got it. And a big first down for the Alouettes on 2nd and long.
I don't know about you, Chris, but I just got a flashback. I got an AC flashback on the timing of S.J. Green and the throw from Anthony Calvillo. Take 3 steps from shotgun, 1, 2, 3, ball is delivered in the hole, small window, and look at this delivery from Anthony Calvillo. Not a big window to get it through there, and threads the needle.
24-yard play. S.J. Green 4th in the league in receiving so far. He's got a couple of 100-yard games on the season. And Dan Hawkins mentioned to us yesterday he is right now been their most reliable guy on offense. So they're set up 1st and goal from the 2. Ground game has been struggling so far. Let's see what they do here. Hand it back to Whitaker. Stutter step, and he'll get 1. No Jerome Messam, as he was a late scratch. Not saying what it is, a foot problem of some kind. And Dan Hawkins mentioned yesterday he'd like to do a little more pounding of the football, but not without the big man Messam at 6'3", 245 in this game.
He had the big drive against Calgary in the first quarter, and Brandon Whitaker will carry the load from the backfield tonight. A little bit of Noel Devine, but primarily it'll be Brandon Whitaker.
So it'll be 2nd and goal from just outside the 1-yard line. Whitaker 10th in the league in rushing coming into the game. And Whitaker is going to take the snap. And surges. Did he break the play? No. Whistles and flags. Well, they didn't make it on a 3rd and 1 last week out of shotgun. And the coach told us he's got some different looks on short yardage plays. We just got one.
In the past, Anthony Calvillo has not been part of the short yardage team. In the past, it was Adrian McPherson. He would come in short yardage. Mike Miller left him in a running play against Calgary that was stopped. So the changeup was to have Anthony Calvillo line up at wide receiver, try and fool the defense, and have Brandon Whitaker take the direct snap and try and run basically a quarterback sneak.
Procedure, Montreal, number 81. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat 2nd down.
So it'll be 2nd down over again from outside the 5. Patrick Lavoie, the procedure call.
This is the formation. There's Anthony Calvillo and Brandon Whitaker, who is now lined up at quarterback. So I guess it's not a quarterback sneak. Technically, it'd be a tailback sneak in that case.
We ever seen AC line up as a receiver? We saw Mike Riley catch a pass last week. So 2nd and goal from the 6. Calvillo looks into the corner, wide open. S.J. Green, touchdown. Fourth touchdown of the year for S.J. Green, and Anthony Calvillo's thrown one in each game this season.
And the Alouettes capitalize on the Shea Emery interception. 2 big plays on the drive to S.J. Green, including that touchdown catch.
S.J. Green with the catch that set it up inside the 5. White ends the extra point as Green and the Alouette offense celebrates, taking a 10-3 lead.
Going to put S.J. Green into the short side of the field with Brandon London here. There's S.J. Green and Brandon London. Now Anthony Calvillo loves to work that short side. He knows one thing, probably going to get man-to-man defense on the goal line, so run a little bit of a pick and rub down there to open up your inside receiver. S.J. Green had to make a tough catch. He made it look easy, but back over his opposite shoulder, back shoulder.
So the streak continues for Anthony Calvillo, now 22 consecutive games with a touchdown pass, 3rd longest in Canadian Football League history.
Well, I just saw a little of the old timing come back there in that last series. That throw to get him down inside the 10-yard line to S.J. Green, the timing perfect between Calvillo and Green on that one. We're used to seeing that in recent memory over the last few years, a team that's finished first in their division 4 of the last 5, and the only time they didn't, they finished second, 2011.
Smart.
Mike Miller coaching him up on the sideline.
It's not smart. Let's go. We're better than that. Let's go.
Didn't like that penalty they took down around the goal line. Hugh Charles on the return. Across the 30-yard line. He's taken down by Amit Paul, and Mike Riley goes back to work trying to shake off that interception.
And different lessons as a young quarterback in his 7th start he's going to have to figure out, right? One of them is to overcome adversity. You throw the pick, didn't see Shea Emery drop out of there. It turns into a touchdown. Got to let that one go now. Back in the huddle, in and out, and see if you can get a few first downs and slow the momentum.
Yard line, they swing it to Charles, and he gets nailed. Ball dislodged. Byron Parker had him lined up. Saw some of those big hits in the pregame show, and you could see a malfunction ready to happen at the junction there.
Oh yeah, Byron Parker just waiting on this one, and I think he took a peek to see if he could get the football first. Realized he couldn't do that, so he broke down. Nice clean tackle too. Up in the shoulder area, got him right in the side, not down low, where he could have hurt Hugh Charles. Good pro play from Byron Parker.
All-time CFL leader with 9 pick sixes to his credit. There's Riley downfield. Kerry Cook's got a good grab. Snags it inside the Montreal 50. They'll mark him out at the 47.
Well, that's nice recognition from Mike Riley, because he had to make a split-second decision here as to whether or not he's going to put air on this ball and get it to Kerry Cope and have him run under it, or try and thread the needle and throw it in there. And he picked the latter, and it was a perfect decision. Back shoulder so that Gerald Brown couldn't get involved.
31 to Coke, so that's the second 30-plus pass play of the game for the Edmonton Eskimos. This should be the final play of the opening quarter. Hugh Charles trying to get inside. Shea Emery slowed him up. And Charles dropped at the 45 after a couple. So a little bit of the old Montreal offense, and the Owls have the lead at the end of one quarter. Check the numbers after one quarter with the Alouettes in front.
Well, the stats may not reflect it, but I saw glimpses of the old Anthony Calvillo and the timing of that offense when he threw to S.J. Green, and some good things from Mike Riley as well. He saw the pressure, got Fred Stamps, and that throw to Kerry Cope, I thought a nice one. Difference in that first quarter, field position. Montreal started on average on Edmonton's 50. Edmonton on average started on Montreal's 27.
Now, costly turnover, the interception by Shea Emery to set things up for the Alouettes. J.C. Sherritt mentioned to us yesterday, I see their timing coming back, and he was a little wary of what they were going to face tonight. But right now it's the Eskimos who look like they've got something going offensively.
Yeah, it looks like Mike Riley has learned from the mistake. He's recognized that he threw the interception to Shea Emery, has to let that one go, and comes back with a nice throw to Kerry Cope. We'll see if he can keep this drive alive here.
2nd and 8 from the Alouette 45-yard line. Here comes the heat. Riley in some trouble, ran into his own man, and they'll bring him down with flags flying. Trying to get outside and ran into the right tackle, Brandon Curry. We await the flag. Riley dropped right back at midfield.
Holding. Edmonton number 68. Penalties decline. Third down.
Left tackle Coleman.
There's just one word to describe this guy, and it just keeps jumping out to me. It's beast. Kyrus Bear is all over the field. He's going to go through the A-gap, right through the middle now. Hugh Charles picks him up initially, but he doesn't quit. Keeps coming, keeps working, gets to Mike Riley, spins him around till his help can get there. 5 sacks already for Bear.
Shaw trying to pin the Alouettes here. Devine will field it inside the 15-yard line, and another flag on the play. Noel Devine had 254 all-purpose yards last week, and all everybody's going to remember is the one that got away.
Well, and you know, the scars from that play in Calgary were still open, and the wound's open. We talked to the coaches even yesterday. Fred Bennett, great hustle play on Noel Devine that really turned the game. I mean, Dan Hawkins talking about how emotionally the team was just emotionally let down after this play, and Noel Devine wasn't being careless with the football. Big return, chance to grab some momentum back against Calgary, but Fred Bennett didn't quit. Ran him down from behind and popped it out of there.
That might be the play of the year.
Well, and those are plays you can rally a team around for an entire year. I mean, those are championship type plays. Never quit.
Had offsetting penalties on that return, so it's set up for Anthony Calvillo at the 18-yard line. 6 receivers out. There's Devine in the flat. And he is taken down by J.C. Sherritt. Tied for second in the league in tackles with 27 coming into the game.
Said yesterday, the Eskimos, he thinks, needs to make on defense more explosive plays. Or those interceptions. Type of the Shea Emery play from the first quarter. Said they're playing pretty sound defense, but they need some explosive plays, some ways to change field position.
Second in pass defense, third in points allowed, but you wonder, with the 2 games played in very inclement conditions, if that hasn't helped bolster the stats a bit. There's a completion of Brandon Whitaker into the backfield. Ushered out by Damaso Munoz, but that's a first down for AC and company.
Quick release. This reminds me a little bit of the Mark Trestman system, where he just gets that football out of there on the second step and has that target.
On that weather note, it is just about perfect for football tonight, which is great for the Edmonton Eskimos. We mentioned it yesterday to Kavis Reed, and he had all the weather readings. He had barometric pressure, and when you've been through what we were through in Guelph and Edmonton the last 2 outdoor games, you're going to pay attention. There's Aaron Grimes dragging down Brandon London. Grimes a solid start on the corner for the Eskimos in his first year.
Well, maybe it's been their best defensive back. In fact, the coaching staff suggesting that of the 5 back there, which includes a couple of veterans like Chris Thompson, the rookie Aaron Grimes has been the most consistent. They move him to the short side now with Chris Wabakamba playing the wide side corner for Joe Burnett.
8 yards for London. Here's first catch of the game. Another one of the Alouettes, slow out of the gate this year, just his 8th catch. Here in week 5, a guy that a lot of people had ticketed for 1,000 yards, and a pre-snap penalty that looks like it's going against the Alouettes.
S.J. Green, Chris, just kind of slapped his hands in a little bit of frustration there. He was lined up on Chris Wabakamba.
Montreal number 54. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
That's Jeff Parrott, the right tackle.
Wabakamba's been in the league. He's been in the league for 4 years, not kind of on and off as a starter. He gets his first start for Edmonton at the wide side, but that may be a matchup that Anthony Calvillo will go back to. What they can do is put S.J. Green out there, shorten his split, bring him closer to the formation, closer to that hash mark, and then maybe try and get a one-on-one.
This time it's Eric Deslauriers matched up against the former Ticat. And 2nd and 7. That pass hit London, and he wasn't looking for it. Just out of his break, and the ball was already off the shoulder pad. So another timing issue, and the Alouettes will have to kick it away.
I'm going to give this one to Marcel Young, though. He's in coverage here as Anthony Calvillo wants to get rid of this on time. But Brandon London doesn't get his head around because he's being distracted a little bit by Marcel Young. A little bit physical in there as he makes his break, and London can't get his head around.
Kerry Coke back. Sean White off to a good start tonight. Lost this one inside the 20. Is wrestled out at about the 25-yard line. Iris Hebert on the scene again. Well, the plot just thickened here. Just shy of the 5-minute mark in the second quarter. Mike Riley is on the sidelines, and Jonathan Crompton is in for the Eskimos to start this next series.
I'm trying to read the facial expression from Mike Riley. He does not look real happy about this decision. You know, sometimes this will be a planned part of the game plan to have the backup come in and the starter watch from the sideline, especially a young guy for a series or two.
Doug Sams went over, had a word with him, and looked like he was telling him to stay ready. See what Crompton does on this is 26th birthday, and his first pass is one hop to Marcus Henry, incomplete. But a guy that the Eskimos are very high on. Rookie quarterback out of Tennessee, who last week in garbage time went 4 for 5, 76 yards, and a touchdown pass to Fred Stamps, a 5-play touchdown drive.
Well, it's the Edmonton Eskimos. Are they turning into a 2-quarterback system in front of our eyes here? Or was this the case of getting a young quarterback a series while Riley watches?
And Crompton flush from the pocket. Giropuoli with the pressure on Crompton, and Emery double dips with his second pick of the game.
You know, in game against Saskatchewan, Mike Riley said to us after the game, of course he threw that bad interception before the half of that game, said, you know, his decision-making process has improved each week, that he feels like he's making better decisions each game and each rep. Now, Jonathan Crompton is back at square one in that regard, and that's a poor decision.
Sidearm pass behind the intended target, and another turnover. The Alouettes lead in takeaways and now have 15 on the year, including 7 interceptions. Calvillo in trouble, and he is dropped. So Calvillo sacked back at the 30-yard line. And it's Ted Laurent with his 2nd sack of the year.
Ted Laurent has set up camp about 4 yards behind the Montreal line of scrimmage tonight, because he's been there for a couple of plays that they've tried to run the ball to Brandon Whitaker, and now gets a sack on the board.
17th sack surrendered by the Alouettes. They've got seasons with about that total. Whitaker will check down to Brandon Whitaker. Gets inside the 20-yard line, but he'll be short of the first down.
Good set.
Injured Alouette on the play. With the injuries to the offensive line, this could be significant. Let's see if we can get a number in it. And it is. It looks like it's Josh Burke, the left tackle, and it is indeed already without Scott Flory and Andrew Woodruff. Scott Flory.
I think Josh Burke was the lead block on the screen pass. He just took his 2 count and took off. He was well down the field. I believe he's blocking on Damaso Munoz.
Flory out for the year with a torn bicep. Andrew Woodruff, the left guard, is on the 9 game after a concussion. And here's what happens to Burke.
Get a piece of Munoz there. Did he catch a heel in the forehead, or?
And he's going straight to the room for further examination. Field goal team comes on. And Sean White will size up a 26-yarder.
Short of man.
Wally on late. And they don't get the kick away, and White missed it.
Clearly, Josh Burke is on the field goal team, and that changed as he walked to the locker room.
Procedure, Montreal, number 54. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
It's Jeff Parrott called for procedure. That's at least 17 pre-snap penalties here in the early stages of Week 5. So they'll move it back, and now from 31 yards out. And this time White is good. 10-point lead for the Alouettes midway through the second quarter as Fred Stamps and the Eskimos get ready to go back to work on offense. Well, they've both thrown interceptions deep in their own zone, but it's Riley on the sidelines and Crompton in for another series in what has to be considered a surprising decision by Kevis Reed here in Montreal tonight. Very sweep. Hugh Charles trying to get inside and does. Turns the corner and up to about the 50-yard line before Kyrus Hebert with another big hit, and another flag from the backside here. Let's see what the call is.
Going against Edmonton.
After the first down of a major foul, unnecessary roughness, Edmonton number 85. We're going to go back 15 yards from the end of the play. It's 1st and 10 though. 1st and 10. Two
most penalized teams in the league this year. The Eskimos 7th. We've heard from Kevis Reed, and here's Kuhorn, the culprit on this play.
Way away from the play. And he goes after Gerald Brown, gives him a shove, knocks him down. On the backside of the play and takes the first down off the board.
Back to the 35. Here comes the blitz. Flag down. Looked like the Owls were offside. Crompton scrambling and taken down.
You know, I have to say I'm as surprised as you, Chris, that Jonathan Crompton's in the game here. You know, I mean, sometimes you do plan for this and have your starter watch, especially when he's young like Mike Riley. But, you know, what does this do to Mike Riley's confidence? Kevis Reed told us yesterday that he still has great confidence in Riley.
Montreal, number 21. We'll repeat first down.
The rookie safety Mike Edom offside.
In fact, you know, I asked Kevis Reed, you said at the beginning of the season when you made the trade and you watched him in camp that Riley is your franchise guy, that this is the guy you want to try and develop into your franchise player. Has that changed? He said absolutely not. In fact, he feels strongly and more strong than he did then. But Riley's still the guy. So
1st and 5. John White, the first down run. And here's Riley's line. 4 for 9, 82 yards. Yes, the interception, a bad one, as he listens in on the play calls from the sidelines.
No, I thought he bounced back from that interception, though. He hit Kerry Coke down the sideline, had the ball, or had the offense moving a little. You just wonder, as you're trying to build up the confidence of a young quarterback in his 7th start, does this hurt in that regard? I think it has
to. First down, and now Crompton going deep. Kerry Cope got. Wow, that's a pass interference missed, isn't it?
That's
Jeff Tisdale and Coke into the year of the official, and you can argue a lot of pass interference calls and non-calls. How about this one?
He got away with it. Jeff Tisdale. That's okay. It's this one here. A pull on the shoulder pad as Kerry Coke was trying to reach for that football that actually turned him back That was pass interference, no question about it. Not called, no flag. Jeff Tisdale got away with one there.
Tisdale has had a great start on the corner with his new club, the Alouettes. Dropped in a little juggle there and now throws the wide side out. There's Cope. Got to make a man miss. That won't happen with Byron Parker on patrol. And it's just a 1-yard pickup, and the punt team will come on. So birthday present for Jonathan Crompton here. A surprise appearance in the second quarter for the Eskimos.
Had reps against Saskatchewan, reps against BC in the games you mentioned. They're confident in him. They like the way he's practiced, like what he did through training camp. Doug Sam's going to work close with him every single series. But this really changes the entire dynamic for this offense in Edmonton.
You would think, sending some mixed messages. Good boot by Shaw. And Devine dropped by Eric Samuels, who's their leader on special teams. S.J. Green and the Alouettes get set to go back to work. Well, the ball popped loose at the end of the punt return. The officials ruled that Noel Devine was down. The Eskimos have challenged, and they may have a case here.
Take a look at the knee of Devine and the ball out. You can see the knee has not touched. That football is loose and out there.
And what a turning point this would be for the Eskimos if they can take over at the 18-yard line. Glenn Johnson on the headset. And again, the call on the field was that Devine was down. It was ruled Montreal football. But Noel Devine, who lost the ball last week, and the coach, Dan Hawkins, had words with him about ball security, and there's another one out. Mentioned Eric Samuels with his 6th special team tackle for the Eskimos, leading in that department. And is that a forced fumble or not?
The Edmonton defense is on the field right now, but it looks to me like that ball is out just before Noel Devine's knee is touching the ground. That ball is loose.
We had a contentious video review call here on a fumble a couple of weeks ago in Montreal. One return for a touchdown by Kyrus Hebert that was overruled. Let's see how this one goes as Kivas Reed challenges the call on the field. While we have the opportunity, a special hello to everybody watching stateside on ESPN2 tonight. And Glenn Johnson's got her verdict.
After review, the Montreal player fumbled the ball prior to being down. Edmonton immediately recovered it. It's first down Edmonton on the 19-yard line.
Huge turnover. The Eskimos come up with the football.
Good challenge by Kivas Reed as they congratulate each other on the sideline. Now see if the offense can capitalize, and will it be Jonathan Crompton for the 3rd straight series?
Who comes out at quarterback for the Eskimos?
Kerry Joseph is on the field.
Well, we've covered all the bases. You know what? Riley was the 4th different starter for the Eskimos in 4 meetings against the Montreal Alouettes, and now everybody's into it. Veteran Kerry Joseph, the 3rd quarterback the Alouette defense looks at. Zone read, the toss is to Hugh Charles, and he's got a first down, drilled by Hebert out of bounds. And that was a play we were waiting for with Mike Riley tonight, an indication we might see that from the starting quarterback.
Right, the option where he's coming to the right side of the formation, and if he gets zapped like that from the defensive end, the pitch goes out to Hugh Charles. Now, in fairness to this juggling of the quarterbacks for Edmonton, Kerry Joseph has that play package and has had it all year long. So they go with that play package. It will be Kerry Joseph. But it looks like now they go back to regular offense. It's going to be Jonathan Crompton again, not Mike Riley. Very, very surprising.
And you used the right word. Kerry Joseph got zapped.
That's what we used to call it back in the old days. Zap the quarterback, get the ball out of his hands quickly.
got an injured player, and that is why Scooter Berry, the defensive tackle out of West Virginia, getting attention.
You know, we had a long meeting with Kavis Reed yesterday, and he did not mention that they had planned to make this change and give Crompton some playing time. But, you know, when I just watch Riley's demeanor on the sideline, yeah, I'm going to speculate a little bit that he's a little surprised. His body language says to me that he's disappointed.
No question.
And I think I've seen teammates up and down the sideline come and pat him on the shoulder and say, just hang in there and don't worry.
Looked like TJ Hill was the latest to do that, one of the veteran defensive leaders.
And if that's the case, Chris, then that's got to hurt his confidence a little bit. I just wonder about this decision.
And how it impacts the entire team.
Yeah, and moving forward. I mean, you know, I'm not a fan of it.
So Scooter Berry getting assistance back to the Alouette bench. As the Owls now have a personnel change on defense and a few shuttle in and out with second and short coming up. The big boys hunker down. Justin Capicotti will wind up at the wide-out spot. Defensive end by trade. It's Joseph again. Hugh Charles can't make the catch. And Mike Edom there to make sure he didn't hang on.
Great young future ahead of Mike Edom. University of Calgary. And, talking to some of his teammates, said he's going to be a great safety. He just needs to settle down a little bit, maybe be a little bit more patient. When you're first in there as a safety, you want to make every play you can, get to the football as quickly as you can, and sometimes that can get you in a little bit of trouble. You have to be patient, stay back in the middle. That's a tremendous close on Hugh Charles.
You've been there. Little confusion there, or at least maybe a late decision by the Eskimos. Grant Shaw does come out. They elect not to gamble 3rd and 2, and Shaw to kick an 18-yard field goal. Joseph puts it down, and Shaw kicks it through. So they settled for 3 after the fumble by Devine, and it looked like Kavis Reed was tempted to go for it on 3rd and 2. But tomorrow, Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN continues with the Stampeders and Blue Bombers kicking off in the Investors Group Field. It all gets underway 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific here on TSN. A couple of the vets there, but it looks like it's Justin Goldson, Bo Levi Mitchell. If it is, it's the first time in recent memory that two quarterbacks get their CFL starting debuts against each other.
Week 5, and we're starting to see the quarterback depth in the league. Guys get nicked.
Now the 20-year veteran goes back to work. The sweep to Devine. And he'll be chased down by G.C. Sherritt. Noel Devine not getting any further.
I like this decision by Mike Miller, the offensive coordinator. Noel Devine drops the ball on the special teams play. The defense holds for Montreal, and he goes right back in the very first play of the next series, hands the ball to Devine, and gives him a little bit of a confidence boost. They still believe in him, and they're going to need him.
Liked his comment yesterday. Not happy with progress. We want to win. Progress is not something we're looking for, just wins.
I was very impressed with Mike Miller yesterday. Anthony Calvillo said he's got some good things in this system. They just have to execute better.
2nd and 6. Here's Calvillo, and he was pressured and an awkward throwing motion there, unable to hook up with Arlen Bruce.
Yeah, he wanted Arlen Bruce to run away from coverage, and he's covered in there by Marcel Young, and wanted him to just move away from the coverage, and he'll throw him open. And that was the frustration shown by Anthony Calvillo. Just wanted Arlen Bruce. You see that hole, just go right to it, and I'll get it to you.
Calvillo still double digits in passing yards so far as we get later into this first half at 93 passing yards. Gary Koch on the return, and he'll get nailed there by Mark Bedard. Long snappers, and now Mike Riley comes back. Flag on that last kick. So Riley will get an extra moment or two to confer on the sidelines with Doug Sams.
Now there's been many times in history.
Legal block, hands to the face, Edmonton number 55. Go back 10 yards from where the ball was at the time. First down.
Eli Nagoya, special teams guy for the Eskimos, takes the flag.
We've seen many times the game's history, Chris, that when you have a young quarterback, they'll have a watch from the sideline for a series or two and see if they can look at the game a little differently, and that could be the strategy here.
I can hear the Edmonton radio phone lines burning up. Start at the 20, and they'll send it out into the flat for Garrett Koch. He gets hammered. Big hit. Shea Emery's been all over the field. Chip Cox there.
Well, the heart and soul of his defense, even though they have John Bowman up front, is that linebacking core, and Shea Emery with 2 interceptions on the game already. Quick close here to come from inside out, along with Chip Cox, who arrives first. He'll get credit for that tackle.
Yep. 36 tackles coming in. Chip Cox, the leader in the CFL, on pace to break J.C. Sherritt's record of last year. Second down, and there's Shamon Chambers, first catch of the year for the struggling sophomore. And they'll be stopped short of a first down.
And it's some kind of pace for Chip Cox. Mentioned to J.C. Sherritt, he's playing tonight. Set the record last year. 162 would be the pace for Chip Cox, which would blow that record underwater.
12 tackles last week. The week before, he was also co-leader in tackles for the week with 10. So he's been on a roll. Now in his 8th year out of Ohio.
Coming off a career best in tackles, too, from a year ago. He had 82.
Shot a punt. Under 3 minutes to go here in this first half. All on the turf. Devine picks it up, and he'll be dropped around the 50-yard line. A 38-yard kick by Grant Shaw. 3-minute warning in Montreal. GMC live at the half coming up. 2:49 away with Dave Matt Schultze and Milt will get their take on this Eskimo quarterbacking carousel, and we'll also hear from Paul LaPolice and the coach's playbook.
I'm going to take a wild guess here and say that Matt Dunnigan is not a fan of this Edmonton quarterback juggling.
We know he was never happy about getting pulled. Not that he very rarely was he ever pulled, but there's Brandon Whitaker with the good run. Without Josh Burke at left tackle, they've had to make another adjustment on that offensive line as Ola will move out to left tackle and Christian Matt comes into the game. Former Concordia Stinger now at left guard, while 2 All-Stars watch from the sidelines.
Scott Fleury with them, and Christian Matt, that changes things offensively a little bit. In an unbalanced set with a tight end, he comes in, so he won't be able to do that if he's starting at guard.
Second and short. And it's Galvillo, the keeper, and a first down. Don't see that very often. Just his 5th carry of the season.
That proves the change. There's lots of time left in this half to put more points on the board.
We've seen some signs of the old Alouette offense, but certainly not as explosive as in the past. Credit the Eskimo defense in some part, but I think we safe to say that Mike Miller's offense continues to be a work in progress.
Yep.
Hand off inside again, and Whitaker dumps it out. and then gets wrestled down. Chris Rabacumba, the corner, takes him down at the 45.
This could have been a disaster for the Montreal offense because that was a high snap. The timing of the play looked way off, and because of that, any yardage gain here, and it was about 4, was all Brandon Whitaker. You take a look, the snap is a little hot and high, and by the time Calvillo recoups it, he has to turn and try and find Whitaker. He does this on his own.
Got 4, 2nd and 6. Stays in the block as Calvillo has a strike. Jamel Richardson, another catch and a first down. 16 for Jamel Richardson.
One of the ways that Mike Miller said to us he wants to get Jamel Richardson going a little bit is to post him up, kind of like a big man in basketball. And this is what he does on this play. Get him to get his big body in front of a defensive back so that it's tough to work around him, and then just hit him with it, put the ball on him, and let him pick up a few after the catch.
3 for 34 for Richardson, whose season high only 5 for 51 against Calgary. First down, and another catch is made, and there's Jamel turning it up and taken down by Munoz and Sheriff, but back to that first down grabs by Jamel Richardson.
Because he's had such a slow start, he's got to show this coaching staff what kind of player he's been over the last 5 years. Perennial 1,000-yard receiver. Remember that outstanding season in 2011 with 1,777 yards and 11 touchdowns. That's what he's capable of.
A lot of people thought he was the MOP 2 years ago. Back inside, big hole, Brandon Whitaker, touchdown. Well, that revamped offensive line opens a hole, don't they?
Boy, do they ever. Backside of this play, Marcus Howard on one side, and it just untouched. Brandon Whitaker.
Touchdown number 2 for number 2 on the season. 13-yard TD run. In the late stages of this first half, 6 plays, 61 yards. They take just over 2 minutes off the clock and expand their lead to 2 touchdowns.
Like the left side of that offensive line for Brandon Whitaker, Michael Ola. Gonna seal the front side first, and then you just get the kick out here, and watch the block by Christian Matt, who steps in on Donnie O right there. He opens up that one. Now, Marcus Howard had vacated on a pass rush move outside, so easy for Ola to just take him wide. And a gaping hole.
Luke Brodeur-Jourdain taking out J.C. Sherritt. And that's an easy touchdown run for Brandon Whitaker. So the big boys savored that, and the Eskimos have just under a minute left to answer here in the opening half. Hugh Charles tripped up across the 30-yard line. And the Eskimos have that much time to respond.
Okay.
Well, forced into action, Christian Matt has to come into play. He gets in there at guard. He's been playing a little tight end for the Alouettes in their unbalanced formation, but boy, does he do a nice job on Donnie O in the middle.
Number 7 pick a few years back, and a guy the Alouettes have been waiting to make an impact, just did on that last series. And now Mike Riley. up, guns downfield, and Fred Stamps can't make the catch. Later.
They had to throw it there too, because put it on a line. If Mike Riley puts too much air on this, Mike Edom, the safety, is going to get involved. So he's got Fred Stamps in that number 2 hole, and he's going to get him right down the sideline, right down the rail here. He's got to throw it out and on a line to Fred Stamps, because the safety's coming over the top. You see 21 in your screen. If he puts too much air on it, he gets it. Ball's put right where it has to be, and Stamps has to come up with that one.
And a step on Gerald Brown at 2nd and 10. Riley looking downfield again, got Stamps up at the 45-yard line, and that's a first down for the Eskimos.
Right back to his go-to guy. This time he goes to the other halfback side, Billy Parker. Nice little shake at the line of scrimmage. Looks like he's going to take him deep, and then cuts back into that curl.
About 25 yards from Grant Shaw range. Shaw's longest so far, 47. Fred Stamps with his 3rd catch of the game. 1st and 10, Edmonton. And it Stamps again, and a little off balance as the ball arrived, and he can't bring it in.
Gerald Brown gets physical right at the cut point, right at where Fred Stamps wants to make his break. It's a timing out, so the ball has to go on time, and Gerald Brown disrupts it. 1, 2, 3, and get it out there, and watch the little jam right there. By the time Fred Stamps turns, still should have come up with a catch, but it disrupted him enough.
2nd and 10. Rushes on, and they get to the quarterback. There's Kyrus Hebert with another sack. From the Will linebacker spot.
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos, for the Angry Bird, may need more than one guy to block them, because this is the 2nd time now Kyrus Hebert has come straight down Main Street on a blitz, and he's been picked up both times, but is relentless in his pursuit of the quarterback, and he gets there again.
Jim Cox said to us a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't want to block him. They get him closer to the line of scrimmage this year, and he is making an impact. Now the sack leader in the CFL.
Now Mike Edom plays well at safety in camp, and they can move Kyrus Hebert from safety, where he played a year ago, down to linebacker. I love the move. A great decision. You put a playmaker like that close to the line of scrimmage and watch him work. I don't know if he is blockable.
Eskimos will run the clock down, and that will do it for the opening 30 minutes of football here in Montreal. Back in Montreal as we get set for the 3rd quarter, but first let's go down to the sidelines. John Lou.
Dan, you were seeking consistency from your offense. What we witnessed in the first half, would that qualify as such?
Well, yeah, but again, we had a couple penalties, kind of cost us. We saved ourselves down here after the fumble. Defense did a good job, but, we had a couple wrinkles there and there that kind of hurt ourselves, but the last half of that 2nd quarter was pretty smooth.
After Josh Burke was injured, we saw him back on the sidelines, but we haven't seen him come out of the dressing room. What is his status for the rest of the game?
He'll be up. He'll be up. Christian did a good job. Burke will be back up.
Hey, thanks for this, Dan.
So Christian Matt helps generate that final touchdown of the first half, but Josh Burke, good news, will be back, and we get set for the 3rd quarter, one that's been rough for both teams in the first 4 weeks of the season. Sean White to kick it off, and Hugh Charles with it for Edmonton. Makes the first man miss, and a good return up beyond the 40-yard line for Hugh Charles. And let's see who leads the Eskimos out. It will be Mike Riley to start. Look at the numbers for both teams. They just as soon waive this third 15 minutes and head right to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, both teams yesterday said without even being asked that this is something that they've got to fix, and that's how they come out after the halftime break. Make some good adjustments at halftime and go out and generate some points.
Mike Riley said to us the first drive of the third quarter, the most important of the game tomorrow. When we spoke with him yesterday, let's see what he can do. No pressure from Edom, and he just throws it away to avoid the sack. There's that act of safety like Edom in his rookie season.
Take a look at that first half production. Mike Riley went 6 for 13, pulled for Jonathan Crompton in that second quarter. Fred Stamps was involved early, which again was part of the reason I was surprised. Mike Riley was starting to get some chemistry with Stamps, and he was taken out of the game.
And as you noted during the interview, it was a performance-based decision. He felt he was struggling enough to give Crompton a look. Riley back in, 2nd and 10. Four-man rush, time, completion, and a first down catch by Marcus Henry as Shea Emery wrestles him out.
Nice heated debate by the panel at halftime. Interesting to listen to that discussion, because I'm sure it will carry over into, no matter what the result here, the entire week, as the folks in Edmonton and the football fans there discuss the move in the second quarter. But we'll see. Mike Riley off to a good start in this third. He said it was the most important series, as you mentioned.
What we know about Mike Riley, he's competitive. Let's see how much this fires up his competitive juices. A pass for Stamps, and now Stamps will turn it into Alouette territory. And another first down dropped at the Montreal 46.
Mike Riley, good recognition here, and you're right, he is battling, competing. You know, Kyrus Hebert has done some damage in there, so has Mike Edom on this blitz, so he recognizes it, and what does Riley do? He gets himself out of there. Sees the interior blitz from both the safety and the linebacker, rolls away from it, gets it to Fred Stamps.
Got something going here in this opening drive, second half. First down. Buhorn stays in the block. Time for Riley. He's got a wide open Kerry Coke and missed him by a stride.
You know, he talked yesterday about the quick reads and that he's getting better, feels a little more comfortable all the time. He makes the right read here. And remember early on in that first half when he tried to throw it on a line down the field? That time he puts some air under it, and he lets Kerry Coke go get it. He's got a touchdown throw.
Missed opportunity. They felt they left 21 points on the board last week against BC. 2nd and 10. John Bowman gets to the quarterback.
Easy up, fella.
Well, you saw the feature on Bowman in the pregame show, and Big John has his third quarterback sack of the season, a flag at the end of the play, and let's find out what this is all about.
John Bowman just took the hands
After
away.
the play, major foul, unnecessary roughness, Edmonton number 64. 15-yard penalty to third down.
The newcomer at right tackle, Brandon Curry, and that's valuable real estate backed up for Edmonton.
Well, he got burned. He got beat badly by John Bowman, and then turned around and took a penalty after it out of frustration. John Bowman just took his hands and swatted him away.
Third sack of the year for Bowman, now 64 in his career. 2 away from Anwar Stewart on the Alouette list. And here's Devine. Good downfield cover by the Eskimos after a 45-yard punt. AC back to work when we come back. Our sack tally brought to you by Purolator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check.
Montreal, Kyrus Hebert's on the board. Mike Edom's got a sack. John Bowman, we just saw a great pass rush move. He swatted the hands away from Brandon Curry.
Anthony Calvillo back to work into the hands of S.J. Green, who spins off one, and Odell Willis will take him down.
Chris, I got to show you that pass rush move. I know that Big Schultz, he would like to see it again. Watch the right arm here of John Bowman as he swats the hands of Curry down. Now, once those hands go down like that, so does his balance. See how his balance gets shot forward, knocks the hand down. Now, Curry is so frustrated by that move, he comes around the back, and watch how he takes a penalty here, pushing another player, Mike Edom, over top of Riley, and takes another penalty.
Loss of 3 on the last play, and Patrick LeBlanc with the catch. Short yardage, and 2 and out to start the third quarter for the Alouettes, who you saw have been outscored 42-2 in the third quarter of the first 4 weeks.
Well, it's one thing to get to the stage where you're making adjustments on the fly, and I'm not sure that Montreal or Edmonton are in that stage yet where you can make those great adjustments on the fly. Right now, they're still learning playbooks.
Sean White said a good night. Kerry Coke finds a crease into the open field. Kerry Coke with White trying to angle wrong. He'll outrun the kicker, and Kerry Coke is gone. Touchdown, Edmonton. 81 yards for Coke, who replaces the injured Joe Burnett as a punt returner tonight.
Nice block at the point of attack by Eli Nagoye, and that's what springs Kerry Coke. Makes a block here, bounces him out to the outside, right at the point of attack. That knocks him around so he can get outside. Now he comes up the middle, breaks it, and watch the speed.
Audubon Washington had one against the Alouettes for 80 yards, and then Coke does it 1 yard better, an 81-yarder to get Edmonton right back into those games, just shy of the 5-0 mark here in the third quarter.
Looked like the lanes were off a little bit for the Montreal Alouettes. I'm going to show you why. Watch Mike Cornell here for Edmonton on Martin Bedard here in the middle. See, that's a lane now that is vacated because number 50 can't get up the field. Now he's in a one-on-one in space, and that's one that Kerry Coke's going to work. He should have been right in that lane. Couldn't get there in time. Kerry Coke gets the one-on-one with space on either side. He's going to win that battle and then just takes off.
We had 3 kick return touchdowns in week 1. That's the first since the 4th of the year. And close the line tackle, and an emphatic one by Brandon Lang. And so the Eskimos have a little momentum here. Let's see what Anthony Calvillo can do to stymie it.
That must not have been around the head, because if it was, we would have seen a penalty flag.
Kerry Coke might have more permanent duty on return teams. And here's Brandon Lang on Noel Devine.
That's a penalty. That's not called.
So at the 24-yard line, they think that Sweep and Whitaker short yardage.
And we were wondering who was going to be back on the punt returns with Joe Burnett out of the lineup, not playing on defense, not a scratch today. And we got our answer. Number 84, Kerry Coke, can get it done.
First touchdown of the year for Coke. And that gives the Edmonton Eskimo bench a huge lift. Defense will try and get the ball back, and Anthony Calvillo looks at 2nd and 8. And over the middle, incomplete. Donovan Alexander, closest man to it. The Eskimo safety as Sewell gets into the year of Calvillo.
Jamel Richardson, Chris, was in a battle with Chris Thompson, and he was trying to get to that spot. Alexander's the only guy there because he's the deep. He's playing safety. But this play was intended to Jamel Richardson. He was supposed to come in this crosser, and watch them battle here. Chris Thompson doesn't let him in there. He's going to fight him, keep under his hip pocket, work with him. That's where he's supposed to go. He ended up shutting it down.
again. And again, Gary Koch. Up across the 45, and this time dragged down at the 50. Chip Cox the tackle. Gary Koch and the Eskimos go on offense. Now down by a touchdown in Montreal. When it comes to buying a new car, the choices can be overwhelming. Now, Autofocus.ca can put you behind the wheel of the car that's right for you. Autofocus.ca, the road is waiting. And the Eskimos drive away from tying this game as they take over at their own 50-yard line. A 12-yard punt return this time by Gary Koch. And Mike Riley calling an audible. It off. Hugh Charles, anything there? Taken down quickly as Michael Klassen in on the tackle.
On these second downs in the last few series for Edmonton, they faced full blitz from the Montreal Alouettes. They've sent Kyrisse Bear and they brought Mike Edom. So Noel Thorpe, the defensive coordinator, wants to pressure the young quarterback in these situations. We'll see if he does it again. Mike Edom, the safety, is kind of low right now. Here it comes.
Second and 8. Edom blitzing. Riley hit, got it away, and it's sailed high over the head, and Mike Riley will be slow to get up after that. Alan Michael Cash celebrates a hit on the quarterback.
Well, it was that same blitz. Kyrisse Bear is up there on the line of scrimmage with Alan Michael Cash. There's Cash and there's Bear. So Mike Riley with that restart knew the blitz was coming. Now he just has to hang in there and try and deliver a pass. He can't step in and follow through because 91's in his kitchen.
Shot and kick it away. Noel Devine reversing field, cuts it back inside, and a speedy Devine up over the 30 to the 34-yard line with a good return of 16 after a 40-yard punt. Midway through this third quarter, that 81-yard punt return touchdown by Gary Koch has made it a 7-point Alouette lead as they get set to go back on offense.
Well, it's fired up this Edmonton defense as well, and special teams.
Alouettes trying to snap a 3-game losing streak and looking for their first win at home this season. Handoff Whitaker. He's got room right side. Brandon Whitaker with his biggest run of the night. First 5 carries, -1 yard for Whitaker. His last 3 of the first half were for 25 yards and a touchdown, and he just rips off 22.
Well, the reason for this is Michael Ola, the left guard, is going to get out on Damaso Munoz. If he can get to that second level and seal the pursuit from this side, the linebacker can't get there. Watch big 6'8" come around. He chips his man, ggets up on Munoz, gets enough of them so he can't run it down from the backside.
Eskimos have given up 100 yards plus rushing in 3 games this year. 0-3 in those games. Make the fly sweep. Whitaker again hits the hole hard and goes to another first down. Talked about Rob Bagg last week and his comeback from 2 ACLs, and here's another guy coming back off that ACL injury and showing a lot more confidence.
Yeah, he is, and he's getting help, Chris. And this time it's Luke Brodeur-Jordan, who's the center, who's going to get up. Now he chips. Now he's on the second level. This time it's on J.C. Sherritt. If you can get big on little, offensive lineman on linebacker, your run game can be successful.
T.J. Hill, the tackle, second less than a yard. Back into the hands of Whitaker. Buster again. Brandon Whitaker down to the 20. Well, Dan Hawkins said he likes to pound the football. No Jerome Messam, but Brandon Whitaker's doing it right now.
Yeah, and he's going right behind center Luc Brodeur-Jourdain. This time on the guy who broke the tackle record again, J.C. Sherritt a year ago. Watch him. Steps up, chips right on him. Go again, push the middle linebacker out there. Big body on little guy. Watch this. Center's going to step out. He's going to chip his man, Ted Laurent. Chip him. Get up to the second level. Get a little push on that guy, and you got a hole. That's 3 plays in a row.
Biggest game of the year for Whitaker. 12 carries, 82 yards. 42 was his high prior to tonight. Double tight end formation. They keep feeding the ball to number 2, and this time not much. Don Ramasian in the middle of that with TJ Hill.
In our conversation with Mike Miller, the offensive coordinator, he said, you know, if we get that running game going, get some balance in our offense, then everything will work from there. And he's coming from his days in Arizona where they like to slam it in there too. Worked with Kurt Warner, had a mix of the pass game and the run game. He said that's going to be the key for us. We've got to keep with it, be patient with it, and everything will be built around it.
And as we mentioned, it wasn't working early. First 5 carries from -1. Second down, Calvillo flushed under pressure and has to throw it away with Marcus Howard in pursuit.
Really didn't have a target because he was flushed to the short side, and the only receiver was Patrick Lavoie, the tight end, who was just trying to scramble to help him. He gets flushed this way. The only guy that's available is way deep in the end zone at the back as Brandon London gets there way late. You see, he really has no choice but to throw it away.
So White back on. Looking to give the Alouettes a 2-score lead. From 23 yards out. Puts it through. So the Brandon Whitaker drive gives the Alouettes a 10-point lead. Let's head down to the sidelines. Here's John Liu.
Well, guys, the longest yard is not just a Burt Reynolds film. It also represents one of the largest adjustments that Mike Miller has had to make coming from the NFL, where he's used to 11 inches separating the offensive and defensive lines. When he arrived in Montreal, he'd heard so much about how the defensive line having to give the offense 1 yard was an advantage for the offense. But so far, Miller's perception is that the defensive line has an advantage in the pass rush, being able to get that time and space to get to the quarterback. And so he is really trying to make that part of one of the myriad adjustments that he's making to the Canadian game.
John White crashing through there. It's something we haven't heard from one of the guys down south, as Mike Miller referenced yesterday. The yard being an advantage, not a disadvantage.
Well, you know, he thought that, first of all, in the passing game, defensive linemen could work on a move and get some downhill momentum if they have that extra yard. So it was really no advantage for an offensive lineman there. And he said, you know, in the running game, you've got to keep working on it, but it also gives an extra second for linebackers to adjust to the hole and another yard for the running back to get there. So he doesn't see the big advantage that everyone is talking about yet, but there's a lot he's learned.
Eskimos called timeout. There was some confusion down there. They seem to have the short yardage team come out, and yet it's going to be 2nd and 4. And when the personnel grouping didn't look correct, they elected to call a timeout and regroup. And Mike Riley comes back out, but they carry Joseph and many of the big boys coming out. I think initially thought it was going to be 2nd and a couple, but it's a lot longer than that.
There's that yard Mike Miller's talking about.
2nd and 4. Take the white flags down, and Riley looks downfield, and it will fall short of the target. Let's find out what the penalty was.
I'm not sure yet.
Eskimos are indicating against the Owls. But it's an offside call against Edmonton.
Offside, Edmonton number 2. That penalty's declined. Third down.
Fred Stamps ahead of the snap.
Stamps just hopping into that neutral zone that Mike Miller is still trying to get used to. And I think he will. I think it'll be, as the weeks go on, he's going to get a better grasp of the differences, and this offense will benefit from it.
Alouettes heading into the bye week. And they're going to fake Bradshaw. He'll roll out now, kick it downfield. Devine got the line drive, and he'll step out at the 41-yard line. We've seen Shaw do that a couple of times this year, but just a 28-yard kick and much better field position for Anthony Calvillo. Well, Saturday we continue to bring you MLS on TSN action. The Columbus Rapids in Toronto to take on TFC. Live coverage gets underway 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on TSN.
I'm not sure that Grant Shaw wanted to do that in that case. I mean, you're in a close ball game, just over a quarter to go. Field position important. You pound that as far as you can.
Timeout, Montreal.
Now the Alouettes have called timeout. Just under 2 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
Kickers will get the green light to do that. If they see that there's no rush coming from one side or the other, get the green light to go ahead and pull it down and run. But you have to think of the game situation as well. Dan Hawkins knows that no lead is safe, especially in the CFL.
The embattled head coach,
after being up 24-0 in the first quarter last week.
An historic comeback by Calgary, biggest ever from a first quarter deficit. It's swung out. This is Stephen Laballa, the rookie, brought down by TJ Hill. So Laballa's first touch of the game, the number 5 pick in the draft. So you've seen a lot of Mike Edom, the number 3 pick. Yeah. Pop's young Canadians, both active.
Nice to see, you know, these guys getting a chance to not only play but excel. And this is just a ball out of the backfield, and I like the moves in the open field. Protect the football, keep it on that outside arm, so you're taking the hits from inside out.
Saw Big Brothers rumble last week, and Stephen Laballa with a pickup of a first down near midfield. Catch is made by S.J. Green, tossed down immediately. Green with his 4th touchdown of the year in this game. Gets 5 that time. Well, we've said it through the first 4 weeks of the year. We know the numbers aren't impressive, but when you look at this team on paper, you wonder, when are they going to bust out?
Which is why there's so much pressure on the coaching staff.
6 receivers set. 2nd and 5. Whitaker on the sidelines. And Calvillo rocks and throws. Complete to Jamel Richardson again. And Richardson will go down. A big straight arm. And his return to form is tonight as he comes up flexing.
Yeah, he is kind of breaking out in the 2013 season. That's 5 catches now for Jamel Richardson. He has 70 yards on the night. Look at the stiff arm and the smart change arms with the football. Put it on that outside arm. You're right, the talent's there. 19 and 18 alone as they break the huddle together.
The bookends. Whitaker checks back in, double tight end formation. Should be the final play of the third quarter. Back into the hands of number 2. And a good first down production again before he's tossed down by Brandon Lang. Well, once again, not much offense for the Owls in the third quarter, but they do get 3 and lead by 10. Well, the Eskimos win the third quarter, but they trail by 10 as we head to the fourth.
And I think you see from the Montreal Alouettes, they got the running game going, which Mike Miller wanted to do, the offensive coordinator. The passing numbers, not Anthony Calvillo-like yet, but he is getting Jamel Richardson involved. And for Mike Riley, Chris, he's had a ton of pressure on him. 12 times either sacked, hurried, or rushed from that pressure defense in Montreal.
And we focused a lot about Montreal's offense tonight, and it seems to be coming, but well, not much traction for the Edmonton offense yet.
Well, it's tough because they get in those second down situations, and Kyrie Saber and Mike Edom are coming on the blitz. Mike Edom from the safety spot, tons of pressure. They haven't been able to make the Montreal defense pay for that pressure with a big play over the top.
So we start the fourth quarter, 2nd and 3. Fake to Whitaker in the flat. Green's got it. Marcel Young rushes him out on another Alouette first down.
But I am seeing, you know, a lot of improvement in this offense. And Calvillo, if you're just joining us, said last week, or excuse me, this week and yesterday, that it's time for this offense to buy in and for the personnel to buy in and just say, you know what, enough of the excuses, enough of the what happened last year stuff. There is some good things in this offense. We just have to execute it better, and they're starting to show that. Get the running game involved, and that helps.
That was the message from the general manager, Jim Pop, as well. Here's Calvillo setting up, looking into the end zone, and unable to hit Jamel Richardson at the back of the end zone. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Mondo Sewell gets some pressure here, and I think that's what causes Calvillo just to throw that one up and over the top. He's trying to kind of avoid that pressure from big number 90. Because if he has time, he has his receiver can make the adjustment there. A couple sacks already on the year for Sewell.
Double tight end formation, 2nd and 10. Calvillo looks into the corner, and that one is almost intercepted. Chris Robacumba, the only man with a shot at the football, the field side corner for the Eskimos.
Anthony Calvillo thought that S.J. Green was going to throw or run the corner route here. He threw it to the corner route. Robacumba had the best chance. He thought the route was going to be here. And watch what S.J. Green did with it. He flattened it out as he got to the top of the break. He gets up on top of this break. Now watch, he looks like he's going to go to the corner, and he may have had the corner had he continued that way, but he flattens it out.
So they'll settle for a field goal attempt. 24-yarder from Sean White. Puts another through. And now it's a 13-point Alouette lead. CFL on TSN is brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade. Eskimos trying to avoid their first 1-4 start since 1999. They've got some work to do here. Early fourth quarter. Down by 13. Alouette showing blitz again. Receivers wide side, quickly in the hands of John White, gets past Parker, and now dragged down by Kim Cox. There is a flag down in the Eskimo backfield.
Riley went down, he took a hit. Flag was right beside him.
Jay Emery was in the neighborhood.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Montreal number 41. 15 yards from the end of the play.
Call.
First down.
East top defender last year, 2 interceptions on the night, but 15 yards against him this time.
Lines up on the outside, comes off the edge untouched, a push and goes low into the legs. Mike Riley. Push was okay, but he went too low.
Changes field position dramatically. Now first down at the Al's 40. Take off, field goal puts up. Little daylight for Mike Riley, just his second run of the game. And that's a first down inside the 20-yard line for the number 8 rusher in the CFL into week 5.
Yeah, that's what's been surprising. That's just his second run tonight, and he was second for rushing quarterbacks behind his buddy Travis Lulay in BC coming into this game. Running the football, it's been a big part of when he's had success. He's got out and run, picked up first downs when he can. He's a lot better runner than most people give him credit for.
Well, is it sneaky fast? It's his longest run of the year, 21. And he's had a run of 10 yards or more in each of the first 5 games this year. Now he swings it to Calvin McCarty down the sidelines. Broke a tackle, touchdown. Calvin McCarty stays in bounds and hits Bader.
I got it. Quick decisions by Mike Riley sets it up. That's a couple of plays in this series where he just made that quick decision. Got the ball out of there quickly. Going to go to Calvin McCarty on the outside. And how about the balance? As he stays in bounds.
He's been described as the X factor in the offense. A little bit of a fullback, running back, slot back, and combined it all on that play. 19-yard touchdown for McCarty. It's his first of 2013. And now the Eskimos are within 6. Five-play, 75-yard drive.
There's John Bowman, defensive end, who gets in a tough situation here with Mike Riley as he gets outside after that big run from Riley. Now, if you're John Bowman, what do? Do you come up and try and stop the running quarterback, or do you try and stay wide with the fullback out of the backfield? He was in between. Calvin McCarty scores.
Well, Devine on the kick return, and whoa, he gets cartwheeled on the hit downfield by Mike Cornell. So that took just 92 seconds for the Eskimos to get back within 6. Riley with the 21-yard run, a 15-yard penalty against Shea Emery, and those usually come back to haunt.
Penalties have been an issue for Montreal, well, for both these teams, really.
A couple of teams under the gun, turning this one into a pretty interesting night in Montreal. Inside handoff, and Brandon Whitaker ball loose. Eskimos on it. Munoz has the football, and it is a fumble recovery by Edmonton.
You know, I think the Alouettes here are going to argue that his forward progress was stopped. I didn't hear any whistle. And I think Brandon Whitaker's forward progress had not been stopped. Backside play here. He's still pushing for yards, still pushing, and the ball is stripped out of there by Munoz.
Laurent was holding him up, and as you mentioned, Munoz with the strip.
Now, if forward progress is stopped, Chris, then they'll blow that dead, but it wasn't.
Starting at the Alouette 24-yard line. Touchdown away from the lead. Short drop. Down the rail. Touchdown. Kerry Cope.
Perfect throw from Mike Riley.
First receiving touchdown of the year for Cope, who has a punt return major as well.
Kerry Cope is well covered. Riley goes to it, trusts his receiver, up over the top of Jeff Tisdale. And Kerry Cope with his second major of the night.
So it's the Edmonton Eskimos offense that explodes. They capitalize on the Whitaker fumble. And somebody might have lit the fire under Mike Riley, because this is a big fourth quarter for a guy who was lifted early in the game.
Well, let's take a look at Kerry Coke's route first. Important for Kerry Coke on this route on the outside to get that separation, just a little bit of a fade route to get outside of Tisdale. Okay, now he's kind of trying to fight his hands off, but that's a small window for Mike Riley to get the football in there. Riley, big congratulations on the sideline from his teammates and coaching staff. Every time he has been challenged in his young career, Chris, you think back to the preseason in BC when he made that team. We've told that it's a well-documented story. He had a couple series to get it done or he was gone. Scored 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdown drives, responded. From this game in the second quarter, clearly he was disappointed and frustrated by it.
Boston J, congrats on the marriage.
But he has bounced back.
2 touchdowns, 59 seconds. And a game that we might look back on as the start of Mike Riley's era in Edmonton.
I think you're onto something there, and taking advantage of the sudden change on the turnover.
But a lot of football to be played here tonight. Stacked up short of the 30-yard line, but more pressure now is placed on an Alouette offense that had a 13-point lead, and look back at that stop as they were deep in Edmonton territory. A chance to score a touchdown and go up by 17, settled for 3, and now suddenly they're trailing.
A long field in front of them.
Point lead for Dan Hawkins' crew has evaporated. Brandon Whitaker, nothing there. Odell Willis was around the football. As that Edmonton defense tries to dig in for Greg Marshall.
Ranked second against the pass coming in, and as I mentioned at the break in the third quarter, Anthony Calvillo has not put up big numbers through the air, certainly.
He mentioned yesterday his message, be great at the ordinary. Don't do anything fancy, just do your job. We've seen a lot of pressures. One might be coming here. Calvillo gets it away. Arlen Bruce, the catch, and a late hit on the quarterback will draw flags as well. So a big second down conversion catch, and there'll be a penalty on Rennie Curran as well.
Foul, roughing the passer, Edmonton number 35. Be 15 yards from the end of the play, first down.
Well, it came back to haunt Shea Emery. Let's see if it does the same here against the Eskimos.
Well, that's what you wonder. Rennie Curran is right in your screen here to the right of your screen. He's going to come on the blitz, and can he pull off of this in time? Right down the middle, couple steps, and actually goes high as well.
So first down near midfield and a mix-up. Calvillo's got to eat it. Marcus Howard was bearing down, and Calvillo turned one way and Whitaker had gone the other.
Calvillo zigged, Whitaker zagged. Reverse out this or turn out this way, and Whitaker had gone the opposite direction. Here you go, son. Riding the side it was supposed to be. There's no one to ride there.
Loss of 5, and it's the second Eskimo sack. Howard has his second of the year. Neither defensive end for the Eskimos had a tackle or a sack last week. They'll swing to Whitaker. And Whitaker gets it outside, and we'll get a first down. TJ Hill was hanging on. Came close to the horse collar, but Brandon Whitaker converts on second and long.
Oh, what a nice call here, too, by Mike Miller to, in this second and long situation, go back to Whitaker He knows he's going to feel the pass rush, get it outside, and get him in space. That little move, if it bounced him to the sideline, gets him the first down.
$16 on the pass and run, and a first down at the Edmonton 45-yard line. Alouettes go double tight end. Bruce showed that fly sweep again, but it's Whitaker up the middle and nothing doing. Ted Laurent's had a stout night.
That is that double tight you talked about there, Chris, that the Alouettes will go to now when Christian Matt, who will play the tight end on one side, and Patrick Lavoie plays the tight end. There's Matt on the right and Lavoie on the left. And that's their unbalanced line with Lavoie playing tight end on the backside. And they like to run the ball there. They do have a few passes. The only problem with it in the passing game is it takes some receivers off the field.
Big play upcoming, 2nd and 10 from the 45. Calvillo will take a shot. Flag is down, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Richardson. And is this a holding call? Yes, against the Alouettes. And they're going to decline the call as TJ Hill gets the option.
Now they go back to it.
Holding. Montreal, number 81. That penalty's declined. It'll be 3rd down.
Back to double tight. Christian Matt one tight end, Patrick Lavoie the other. Now, when you play the double tights here, the downside in the passing game is watch, run the play, guys, and I'll show you. There's only 3 receivers now that Anthony Calvillo can go to. Stop it there. One here, one there, and one in the flat here. Those are his only targets available. Tried to go deep and couldn't hook up with S.J. Green.
Sean White looks for the corner. Does he get it? Let's see where they mark it. And are they going to mark us? It's a single point, so he just missed the corner. And Sean White is arguing the call. And he thinks he got it, and from where it landed, I'm surprised they are not. Now they are going to rule it out at the 2. Well, some confusion here on that last call by the officials, who first said single point, then they marked it at the 2-yard line. Kivas Reed and the spotters upstairs see the replays we've been looking at. Very hard to determine where that ball went out, but he's going to challenge that this did not go out at the 2.
Well, let's take a look. Sean White sold it initially, and it looked like it was going to be spotted on the 2-yard line, but we'll see where it bounces. Bounces right there, and see the official initially signals that it is a single point. Ball went through the end zone. That's what he's got, his single finger up there. And then that ruling was overruled.
And Sean White and Glenn Johnson had a little debate.
Edmonton is challenging that they believe they scored a single point on the kick. We'll review the play.
Not often that you see one team challenge that the other team has scored. They want Montreal to have tied the game because the field position at the 2 is pretty uncomfortable for the Eskimos as it stands. See if we get one more angle here.
Now take a look at the ref to the left of your screen here. He's measuring it up with an official standing behind Sean White right now as they try and calibrate exactly where that went out. Now he at this point rules with one finger in the air that it is a single point in the end zone. Now somewhere along the way Sean White was discussing it with the official back behind him, and they determined that it went out on the 2-yard line. Now the ruling is it's out on the 2. Do you see enough that could overturn that ruling?
You see that trajectory, and it's hard to imagine it went out at the 2, but did it go out just inside the pylon? I don't know if there's any evidence, and this is a tough one for Kivas Reed to win. But I think he's got to challenge it.
Yeah, it's tough because the ball goes out in the air.
And it's interesting that the only Alouette who really argued the initial call of a single was Sean White 50 yards away.
After review, ruling on the field stands, the ball was out at the 2-yard line. Edmonton loses their second timeout.
That's right. Davis Reed had to burn one with that formation issue early on, so he has no timeouts left.
That's a huge 43-yard punt by Sean White. And now Dan Hawkins puts it in the hands of his defense. It remains a 1-point Eskimo lead. But as evidenced by the challenge, they would have given up the lead for better field position. Get the play off.
I got 65.
Simeon Rotier flinched.
Procedure, Edmonton number 65. Go back half the distance to the goal. Repeat, first down.
Yeah, the right guard, with all the noise here, flinched early. First and 11. And off, they just get out of the end zone and White to hit for about 3.
Well, Chip Cox almost created the safety. He comes off the edge here. And watch how John White has to break a tackle to not give up the safety and the football.
Speaking of which, Davis Reed's got to decide, if unsuccessful here, do you give up the lead on a safety? Mike Riley will try and take that decision out of his hands. 2nd and 7. To the wide side, and that's not going anywhere. Ed Geedy takes Harry Koch out. Koch looking for a flag, but there is none. And now Reed has to make that tough decision.
You know, with 6:42 left, you almost think that giving up the lead to get the field position would be worth it. But when you're a struggling team, do you ever want to give up a lead?
Wind not an issue here on a perfect night for football in Montreal.
I mean, you've got to give up 2, I think, here. You've got to give up 2 because Montreal is going to catch this punt if they kick it away in field goal range.
And Devine waiting at the 48. Let's see. He's going to kick away.
Didn't get it.
And not a deep kick, but he may get a bounce. No, it's a bad bounce, and they'll just hop on it and cover it as Byron Parker got on the football, so now they're going to have the football with no yards, likely inside the 30.
You know, if it was less time, Chris, I think more along the lines of, let's see if our defense is playing pretty well. We really get a big kick. You don't want to give up the lead, but with this much time, you give up 2, get the field position back, make a long field for Calvillo with your defense playing well.
Penalty. First
what
down.
he might be saying is if we kick the ball away and we've given them the lead and they come back and get 3, now we're down by, we need a touchdown. So yeah. Or did Davis Reed have a change of heart here, because now all of a sudden there is a signal.
Well, and they looked like they wanted to give up 2 and didn't get it in time.
Terry Eisler signaling 2, and
yeah, he is.
It's a net of 24 as it all turns out. Brandon Whitaker has a hole, sidesteps away from Sherritt, and another, and finally dragged down at the 11. What a great run from Brandon Whitaker, 18. And for Brandon Whitaker, that may give him 100 on the night.
Big boys up front have made a difference, and it's been to get that second level. This time it's Michael Ola again on J.C. Sherritt, just making Sherritt avoid the offensive line as getting him in a chase position.
112 yards rushing for Brandon Whitaker and a first down at the 11. Back in his hands. And he'll get ridden down around the 6. 5 more for Whitaker. His first 100-yard rushing game of the year. In fact, he has more yards rushing tonight than in his first 3 game starts of the season.
And I think, you know, based on our conversation yesterday, Mike Miller will give the ball a lot more to Brandon Whitaker differently than he did, or differently than Mark Trestman did a year ago. Mark Trestman, it was spread offense with him the only back. With Mike Miller, it'll be more double tight ends with Brandon Whitaker.
2nd and 5. Calvillo throws incomplete. Intended for S.J. Green, and out of his reach or through his hands with Chris Thompson in coverage.
Yeah, he's played well tonight. Chris Thompson has been in a physical battle with 2 big slot backs, and S.J. Green and Jamel Richardson. And he has to pick them up out of this bunch formation. Very difficult to do. You see him cut underneath there. They make the switch successfully in the Edmonton secondary. Comes underneath, no interference. That's a good defensive play.
And a stand for the Eskimos. Sean White looking for his 5th of the night. The longest so far has been 32 yards. This will be the shortest, but it puts Montreal back into the lead. So up by 2. Had they conceded the safety, it would have been a 1-point lead and they had the football. So in the end, you wonder if it's turned out all right for the Eskimos or not.
Well, Cavis Reed ran on the field trying to talk to the punt team to tell them to give up 2. So that's what he tried to get out there. I'm a little surprised that they waited until they were already out there before they gave him that instruction. But the bottom line being that didn't give up the major, and a field goal with 4 minutes left is.
So within a field goal of the lead again. Yeah. And just over 4 minutes left as they scrimmage, first down at their own 35. Finally running out of time. Steps up. And he'll crash down close to the 40. And has 4 to 5 on that carry.
Central Washington's made a bit of a statement here. That's where he played his college ball, and unhappy that he was pulled in the 2nd quarter. Jonathan Crompton and has responded. Now can he put together a drive with the pressure on him? Down by 2.
A pump, and looking for Cook again, and almost intercepted. Billy Parker got a hand on
it. Tried to get the corner route here. Billy Parker with almost an unbelievable catch.
And on the deflection off Gary Cook's shoulder.
An accuracy issue there for Mike Riley. He threw it to the inside.
Down under 3 minutes left. Devine awaits. It's going to be 15 yards. They got within that 5-yard restraining area, and that'll be costly. 15 yards after a 35-yard punt. Alouette football with the lead when we come back. Here are the rest of the games coming up in week number 5. Bo Levi Mitchell and Justin Goltz expected to start tomorrow. The unbeaten Saskatchewan Roughriders are in Guelph on Saturday to meet the Ticats, and a rare Tuesday game in Toronto. The BC Lions come to town.
Toronto and Hamilton shaking up their linebacking course this week.
Making some news, yes. Markeith Knowlton Brandon Isaac. And here's Brandon Whitaker. Adding to his totals, and Aaron Grimes will be charged with another penalty. By the way, the Alouettes had a 15-yard, no yards on Eric Samuels. There's another 15-yarder on Grimes. And it's starting to add up.
Will there be more consequences?
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Edmonton number 36. 15-yard penalty from the end of the play, first down.
20-yard run and 15 on the penalty.
You're in a groove, and Brandon Whitaker's in it. He's in that zone. Natural cut there, just instincts as he bounces to the outside in front of Brandon Lang.
So he's back too, just like Rob Bagg. 20 carries, 137 yards. First down, and again it's Whitaker. Finds another hole. Ankle tackle from TJ Hill, but it's another first down.
I want to show you those instincts from Brandon Whitaker. He's going to see a flash of a white jersey from Marcel Young. Watch the instincts in the cut. Right there. That cutback right there when he saw Marcel Young flash to the outside tells you that Brandon Whitaker's back.
And they mark him down a yard short, so a 9-yard pickup. It's 2nd and 1 out of that double tight end formation, and now Whitaker's got the first down and more inside the 5-yard line. He fumbled the ball that started the Eskimo comeback, and it looks like Brandon Whitaker is intent on getting all that back for the Alouettes here.
He's trying to catch his breath because they have been working the football. Bit of a sloppy handoff from his quarterback, but he just fights his way to about 5-6 extra yards.
Been 30 yards of penalties against the Edmonton Eskimos on this drive. They're at 111 in the game. And now it's a 1st and goal from the 4, and Kevis Reed's defense needs a stop. Need to hold it to 3 to keep within a major of the game. Again. And the ball came loose, whistle had blown, and they're ruling him down, and the ball dead at the 2.
You clearly hear the whistle. The question was, did it come out before the whistle?
He's down.
No, I think that time they got it right. He's down
Previous
by
play
contact.
is under review by the command center.
Under 3 minutes to go, so the command center will review it.
I think this time Brandon Whitaker's down by contact. His knee touches it. The ball's not out yet. The ball doesn't come out until he rolls onto his back. It looked like possession here. Trips over his own lineman. Now his knee is down. Knee is first touch is now.
And he still has the ball there, and
then he rolls on his back.
Pulled out there by TJ Hill at the end of the play, but not much doubt that the Alouettes will retain possession. And 2nd and goal from the 2 coming up.
You mentioned off the top, Chris, 2 struggling teams.
After review, the player was down by contact prior to fumbling the football. A ruling on the field stands.
If you're going to turn around a season, if you're the Edmonton Eskimos, it's right now on this play right here.
And this is interesting. Tanner Marsh is in the game. So a quarterback who has seen no action in the Canadian Football League, listed as the number 3 man comes into the game at a critical point here. 2nd and goal from the 2 with a 2-point lead. Marsh madness. Second man through is Whitaker to the goal line. Did he break the plane? No signal. And we'll have to get another look down that line because it was close. But it'll be 3rd and goal from the 1 unless a replay shows otherwise.
You remember when Damaso Munoz was cut off from the backside? He's not cut off this time, and he gets it. Watch him slide across, scrape, right in the hole. Wow.
Just to confirm.
The previous play is under review by the command center.
We'll look at it. And Whitaker's shaken up, and he's gone to the sideline, so he won't be available if they go 3rd and 1.
Well, that was the shoulder that Munoz made contact with.
Following Lumbala. But a huge play by Munoz to keep the Eskimos alive. Now they were stopped 3rd and 1 last week. Suits out of shotgun. Anthony Calvillo does not line up under center, so there's an adjustment this week with Marsh. Official right on the goal line.
And I'm not sure. I mean, they're going to review it, and it's inside 3 minutes, goes to the command center. I'm not sure there was any evidence there to say anything but the fact that Munoz made the stop.
Yeah, the umpire, Gordon Unger, was right on the scene.
Well, that's some outstanding linebacker play.
So do you kick a field goal from 8 yards out and take a 5-point lead and give Edmonton the ball, or do you try and punch it in and otherwise make Edmonton march down the field to get the winning field goal?
Based on a team that struggled, based on a team that went on 3rd and 1 last week, didn't get it, I think you take the points, make Edmonton score major to beat you.
After review, the player was down prior to the goal. Call in the field stands. It's 3rd down.
So a big play by Munoz. Dan Hawkins. I think the offense is in the huddle.
Boy, here we go.
That's interesting. Not going to take a 5-point lead. They're going to try and put this out of reach with 1 play.
So now, I mean, if Tanner Marsh is the guy that goes under center, they're going back in shotgun on 3rd and 1.
They are in shotgun, 3rd and 1, and it's Lumbala, not Whitaker. Are they just going to try and draw Edmonton offside?
Take some time off the clock.
Eskimos won't bite, and now does the field goal team come on?
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was, Chris. Go out there, see if you can get an offside call, draw Edmonton, get a new set of downs. If not, call your timeout just before and get your kicker on the field. Good decision. And it took a few seconds off the clock.
But the Eskimos will have a minute to get the winning points in the game. They'll be down by 5 and will need a touchdown march. 2 touchdowns in 59 seconds earlier in this quarter.
Now this is a chip shot obviously for Sean White, but we've seen some kicks blocked this year. In fact, Montreal blocked one last week.
Or fumble.
Or time count violation. Montreal, number 13. Edmonton is declining the yardage on the play. 3rd down.
Reset by a couple of seconds. I think we're ready to go. Attempting his 6th field goal of the night, and Sean White chips that through. And so we're going to get last-minute drama here in Montreal.
A little drama on that field goal. It was a short one, but Josh Nicewander is the holder. Nicewander put it down. He had to juggle it a little bit. Watch this. Down inside. Those are tougher ones to get around. Over top of your knee. Catching them underhand and then flipping it over quickly before the rush can get there. That's difficult.
And excuse me, it was Nicewander in on that one play. Not Tanner Marsh, who's the number 3 man.
Got that hold down nicely.
Got a strike to Kuhorn, a completion out of bounds up at the 42-yard line, so it'll set up 2nd and 3.
And will Montreal, who have lived by the blitz throughout this game tonight, especially on 2nd downs, will they continue to live by it? Noel Thorpe has sent the safety, might need him a couple of times, well, more than a couple. And Carisse Bear and Chip Cox have been on many blitzes from the linebacker core.
2nd and 3. The Eskimos playing 3-down football in the last minute. Here comes the pressure over the middle. Stamps has got it, and he'll hit the deck at the 50-yard line. And quickly will set up again. Remember, they've lost their last timeout.
No timeouts for Mike Riley, so Doug Sam's going to try and get him as many plays as he can from the bench. And Riley's got to work the clock with the sideline and getting the football out of bounds as quickly as he can.
Running. First down. Riley's got time over the middle. He's got Stamps again. A heavy punishing hit from Carisse Bear.
John Bowman was yelling at his own bench after this play because right now the Alouettes that was so aggressive defensively have all of a sudden dropped off and are giving the Edmonton Eskimo offense all kinds underneath them.
They're 30 yards away from winning it. First down. Riley time. Looking downfield. He's got it. Catch is made by Marcus Henry at the 6. And still 28 seconds left.
He's only made 3 catches all season long. Hasn't played the entire season, but this is as big as it gets for the Edmonton Eskimos. And this struggling team with Mike Riley at the helm to drive him down. And that's a contested catch, too. He went up and got it.
He was pulled earlier in the game. And now trying to engineer the biggest drive of the season so far for Edmonton.
And maybe of his young career.
Under 20 seconds to go. First down. They hand it off. John White to the goal line. And no signal. John White taken down, and with 10 seconds on the clock, it's going to be...
Ejiro Kouali hits White right at the goal line and turns him sideways. I'm not sure that ball crossed the plane.
Take a look here. Back was turned, and no. That's a huge defensive play, although White ends up in the end zone. And now the clock runs, and this will be the final play unless they get it in a hurry. It's running down. They're going to have to do it right here. Final play of the game. John White stopped. Down he goes. Back to the 5. And the game ends with a goal line stand for Montreal.
Davis Reed had to burn a timeout early and didn't have one when he needed it. Right there, Mike Riley wanted that goal line play review to buy his team some time to get organized on this final play.
A little surprising that it would not be reviewed.
I am too.
And with that, they only had, with the clock running, 9 seconds, and this is the play they wanted reviewed. And in fact, the command center may have had a look at it and deemed that it did not break the plane. And there's Kouali saving the day for Montreal.
The very same scenario happened at the other end. They did review it, didn't review it on that in that case.
Well, what a finish here in Montreal. And the Alouettes win it 32-27. So the first win by an Eastern team over a Western club in a thriller. So long from Montreal Sports Center now.